Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Very warm welcome back to the Genisus Extreme YouTube channel for round 9 of season 2 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. And boy, oh boy, we make a visit to Belgium, our seasonally visit to that wonderful, wonderful track, Spa-Francorchamps. No GT3 season would be complete without it, and that is exactly what we've got on the cards tonight. David Christie on the microphone, as always, along with the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Tapelo Mirioli. Tapelo, we're back at it again here in Assetto Corsa Competizione, and obviously Spa is one of the most famous/infamous rounds of the GT3 calendar. Obviously, we've still got Brands Hatch, Valencia, Silverstone. You can see the calendar there, but Spa, it's well known by the drivers. Probably one of the most saturated racetracks in terms of the amount of coverage it gets and the amount of times drivers drive it. So really, no excuse for anything going wrong tonight.
Yeah, well, look, it is one of my favorite tracks, so I'm not going to complain at how often everything comes here. I'm always happy to see it. I love the circuit. I've raced on it a couple of times, a couple 100 times, let's be honest. So it's great. It can go either way. It can give you the best race of your life, or it can give you a dry race. It just depends on the day. But I've got fingers crossed for tonight. The season has been competitive. The drivers have really started to pick up in their race IQ, just how they go about the racing. So we might see some interesting driving. Yes, everyone knows this track, no reason to get it wrong, so they say, but curse of the commentator once again. Now we've just cursed the first lap.
Yep, it's all going downhill from here. Let's have a quick look at how the standings are then in the championship, and it's very close at this tail end of the championship. Less than 100 points separating the top 5 just now. George Boothby in the lead ahead of Grantis Caracas, Marco Bischoff in 3rd position, Noah Eder in 4th, Philippe Minard in 5th as well. Huge moves coming up through the field as well at this late stage of the race here, and it's certainly going to be a lot to talk about as the race goes on and the season goes on as well. But in the meantime, it's time to go and have a quick look at the highlights from the last round. Grantis Caracas, he's going to be on pole position alongside Philippe Minard. Then it's George Boothby on row 2 alongside Tommy Rozier. Flying the green flag waves and away goes. That's a fantastic start from Caracas. Minard doesn't get a chance to overtake there, but Boothby and Rozier fighting it out going into Hell Corner there. That looks like that is Rozier getting bumped down then back to that 4th position. It's a run up the mountain stretch here. And here comes George Boothby. He's not wasting any time at all. This is very different from what we saw at Kota. He did have a little look out there, but not able to make anything as they come up through turn 2 for the first time here. Again, all having to watch out for these cold tyres that the cars are going to be on as they come through 3 and 4 coming up the hill. This is where the danger flashpoints are going to be.
I've got a replay coming up of the incident with Karpinen. You see a lot of drivers running wide over those curbs, looking a bit sketchy, but as he heads into the SS, he had to really stamp on the brakes to avoid an accident there. And unfortunately, as you saw, as they went on the brakes, it unsettled the rear.
So he was coming into 2 then. He was on the grass there, Tapelo, and oh my God! Absolutely destroys that Lamborghini as well behind him there.
White. Beautiful livery, actually. I love this livery. The S's. Oh no! I did not expect to see that. I thought we'd just get a car kissing the wall, but full-on carnage, flipped over, car in the air.
Over a previous incident, this is likely what happened at the top of the hill. Oh yeah, that car's gone before it even gets to Skyline, rolls down into the wall and just keeps it nice and steady. The thing for me is yellow flags. There is a yellow flag, and you can see right at the last there. Yeah, well, that was an overtake on the yellow flag. Isn't the fastest, isn't right up at the front as we see a side-by-side move then. This is 2 teammates on each other. Philippe Minard takes the position from Jack Alexander. The 2 of them charging down to try and catch George Boothby. Let's get a replay though of what happened to Jack Alexander, and I'm going to put my seatbelts on here, brace for impact, because this was one hell of a hit. He got it all wrong here on the exit of, or the entrance to Skyline, on the exit of McPhillamy Park. Oh, side by side coming through the chase in. Tariq Adam alongside Noah Ader tries to get the outside line. He's got it done. A little bit of a hip check there, and that opens the door for Valentin Barry as well. Nudged onto the grass there. Ader is going to be absolutely furious with that one.
As they cross the line for the final time, well done, Genisus Risk, winner for the Bathurst race.
Second place then for George Boothby. Philippe Menard taking third position. Tommy Rozier in fourth. Cody Sherritt in fifth. So there you go, that is all of the thrills and spills that we had at Land Down Under at Bathurst Mount Panorama. Plenty of action going on there. Hopefully, I think they'll be wanting to have a bit of a quieter night tonight to Pello, because we went for about 20 minutes in, or 15 minutes in, oh yeah, this is quite a calm race, and then all hell broke loose for about 40 minutes.
Look, it kind of set us up where we thought everything was all good. It's about to be one of those, and everything kicked off, and then it was tough to keep track with everything. But such is racing. Sometimes you get a chilled race, everything's going according to plan, and then things change, and then everything happens in the span of 10 minutes. So I don't know what race we're in for tonight, but I'm hoping it's entertaining.
Yeah, fingers crossed as well. At the moment then, 2.5 minutes left to go in qualifying here at Spa. George Boothby at the top of the tables, 2:16.830, just 4/100ths of a second ahead of Cody Sherritt, and it is incredibly tight at the top. Look at that, 1/10 of a second separating 6 drivers right now, and 18 cars within 1 second of the leader. That is how much they've driven this circuit. Very, very little to tell between the top drivers here, but some good points on offer potentially here for George Boothby and the championship, given that this is going to essentially be a drop week, or a non-existent week for the likes of Philippe Menard. He was making big headway up through the order, and obviously that is going to stall. So I think with him being on 500 points, I think that is going to be a critical death blow to Philippe Menard's championship hopes tonight. If Boothby does get on the podium tonight, certainly be huge points at this late stage of the round. We've got another 3 rounds to go after this. Rounds 10, 11 and 12. Brands Hatch, Valencia and Silverstone. We round out the championship at the end of this month, the end of March. It's been a wild ride, taking us all the way through the start of the year and the course of 3 months. But as we said, qualifying is nearly coming to an end here. It is still those 6 drivers within 1/10 of a second. George Boothby, Cody Sherritt, as Noah Ader there to Pello, fires it in by some way and goes to the top of the table there.
Well, you know, Noah Ader's been knocking. He's been on the podium multiple times, but unfortunately he's never got the race win. He's been on the podium in second, he's been on the podium in third. So could this be his race? Could this be the one that's been running away from him? Very good qualifying time. I'm sure his lap was amazing. So that's a big confidence boost heading into the race. So maybe he might be the one to pull a surprise. Like you've mentioned, Philippe Menard is not here, and I hope when he does come back, you know, sometimes you mess around and then you lose all momentum. You kind of just don't get into that groove as a racer. But I hope he comes back, because this championship is so tight. It's been brilliant to watch so far. And every week that we have a consistent challenge, we have these guys fighting for the top 3, top 4. It's all the better for them, and all the better for us as spectators and fans of this crazy gaming series.
And we love every single moment of it. And a good evening to everyone that is on the YouTube chat this evening. To Reggie Leodon, who has decided to pop his head in. Qualifying is over, so the drivers make their way around the last couple of corners just now. They're all on their last lap. Some of them will just be coming across the line. The number 4 of Noel Hatchey comes across the line. He stays down there in 11th place unless anybody knocks him off as well. But with 2 minutes left to go before the session winds itself down, that's how long the drivers have got to make their way back across the checker flag and across the start-finish line. You've got a couple of cars there that have jumped into pit lane. We're watching Sakari Lehtinen currently in P10. And this is a driver that we always D doing very, very well through the first couple of laps, through the first 10, 15 minutes. Now remember, it's a 90-minute race here, so what can Sakari Lehtinen do coming out of the final corner and across the line? Lehtinen absolutely destroys it. Pole position, but it's all gone so very quickly. George Boothby saves it to the last, and Boothby now goes pole. Do we have any other takers out there on a grid that can take that from George Boothby right now? Here comes Corey Sherritt across the line. Does he have anything to do? He does. He improves by 0.3 of a second there, and unfortunately destroys a car waiting there on the grid. Here comes Dennis Vietschark. Vietschark goes up to P5 as well. So it's all changed, and Noah Eder, who was looking so good for that pole position, is now suddenly down into P6. What the hell has just happened here? Abe Santima comes across the line. He doesn't improve there, but Tapello, I mean, that was a crazy final lap here.
That's what we said, right? Nothing happens. Looks like it's going to be a mundane, fairly session, and then everything happens. In this case, everything happens in the span of 30 seconds. Brilliant laps we saw, right? And that's what it's about. It's about coming in clutch in that last moment where you need to set a lap. Let's look at Valentin Berrier finishing his lap here. Actually snuck into the top 10. P8. So again, a lot of drivers finding time in their final laps and setting themselves up brilliantly for this race.
Yep, certainly is. So there we go. The qualifying is done and dusted. We'll take you to the grids very shortly. But my goodness me, that is a pivotal qualifying session. Boothby needed to get the points there to secure that position there and take extra points away from the likes of Marco Bischoff and Grantis Caracas as well. And that's exactly what he is poised to do. Now, what the rest of the field don't want him to do is to be able to stretch away off into the sunset. So they're going to have to get a move on and get a good start to make sure that that doesn't happen. As we said, George Boothby on pole position. Valentin Barry, I think, is going to be one to watch. Now, we saw him just at the tail end of qualifying there, but Tapello, he is... In particular, Valentin Barry has been a driver that really tends to make his way through those early stages and really carve up towards the top 5.
He tends to really do well in that opening lap, kind of survive the scuffle, but make up 4 or 5 places in the opening lap. So that will be very crucial if they want to keep pace with the top 4, top 5 guys, getting that brilliant start and being there or thereabouts and let the race come to them. But we know they can really go well in the start, but they also tend to finish very solidly. So should be one to watch. Yep.
Certainly is. Well, the cars are on the grid, so let's take you through the grid then. And right at the front, leading the pack off is George Boothby. Alongside him is going to be Sakari Lehtinen then on second position. And in row 2, third position goes to Cody Sherritt. Grantis Caracas, second in the championship, is lining up alongside him. Fourth place on the grid. It's then Dennis Vietschark leading off row 3, and he is going to be beside Noah Eder in 5th and 6th position. 7th place is Samir Foch. Alongside him is Valentin Barrier in 8th position. On row 5 is Abe Santima in the McLaren, and he is alongside the Mercedes of Tommy Rozier in that 29 car. It's then a Mercedes row 6 for Albin Manson and Sasha Vassner there behind them, and then Noel Hache in the number 4 McLaren is beside Simone Seminara in the number 12 BMW, 13th and 14th place respectively. Row 8 is going to be Luke Addison in the number 13 Ferrari alongside Jan Rochelle in the number 77 Lamborghini. Row 9 is going to be Christian Duploy in the 213 Mercedes, and alongside him is going to be the 52 Ferrari of Skylar Loverink. And then at the back of the grid, row number 10 is going to be Jonathan Clifford in the 999 Lamborghini alongside Roland Stein in the number 10 Aston Martin. So that's how they line up. We've got a little bit of a drop in the numbers. However, what I would normally say, and I always preface this with every championship that I broadcast on, this is the nature of the beast with league racing. You get a natural rate of attrition. You also then get drivers who just don't see the point in taking part since it's the end of the season, and they maybe don't have the ability to get what they want out of the championship. But for the most part, 20 drivers out of what was around about 45 to 50 drivers starting this championship is I've certainly seen a lot worse, and I think 20 is a decent amount of cars out there to play with.
Well, don't you worry. Next week we've got a new entrant. Tapelo Meriotle is about to be a racer from comms to track. I'm kidding. But no, it's good to see the guys that have kind of kept at it, truly embodying that Kaizen spirit. Keep going, keep pushing, constantly improving. So yeah, 20 drivers isn't bad. It's still a decent enough grid for us to see something, and we surely will, because as you saw in qualifying, a lot of these guys, despite being so late in the season, they are remaining competitive, and they've still got a bone to pick with the front runners of this championship.
Well, with just over 2 minutes to go on this formation lap here, and a whole 4.32 miles at Spa. This is one of the longest circuits in the season, and they will definitely make very, very light work of it. So the automated formation lap procedure takes place. Now, for those of you new to Assetto Corsa Competizione, the drivers do this themselves. However, they are guided through the process. So at this point in the lap, the cars can all ghost through each other. There's no contact enabled, and they are told to go into single file. It's only towards the end of the lap that they get split up into their separate packs, and then the collision is enabled on the final corner, and then it is racing away. We do a rolling start here, and it is a 90-minute race with a mandated pit stop window, and the drivers have 20 minutes in which they can take their fuel and their tyres. And again, what we've seen tonight here, or rather through the season, Tapelo, is the overcut seems to be working absolutely fantastic for a lot of the drivers. I wonder if that is going to be the same here tonight.
Yeah, I wonder as well, because Spa is the kind of circuit that tends to favor the undercut, surprisingly. And I think it's all the time you gain in Sector 2 on a fresher set of tires. So the undercut tends to be strong. But you're right, this season we've seen the overcut be massively advantageous, depending on when you time it, how you go about it. So we've seen a lot of moves being done through strategy in the pit stops. So might we see a different one? I'm not sure, but I'm very interested to see, especially if these guys, the likes of George Boothby, Sakari Litton, and Cody Sherritt, who came in is looking strong again, can be close to each other and kind of force each other's hands into making the brave strategy call.
That is exactly what we're waiting on George Boothby to be doing here just now, with 90 minutes on the clock. He'll be doing his last-minute preparations and getting himself all sorted out. The car's making their way through towards the final couple of corners just now. They're coming through Stavolo at the moment there. That iconic double right-hander in the middle of the Belgian forest. They make their exit round to the Corps Paul Frere. And again, I will refrain from butchering any of the corner names tonight, or as many of the corner names as I possibly can here tonight. But either way, we are about to go 2 by 2 then for 90 minutes here, round 9 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. Huge thank you as always to our commercial partners over at Coach Dave Delta. There will be lots of prizes on offer tonight, so make sure you get involved with that. And our drivers will be taking part in a participation award as well. We'll tell you more about that as the race develops. So the key here for George Boothby now, as he comes through the final corner then at Blanchimont towards the chicane, is going to be really absolutely nailing the start. The other thing that he's going to have to remember, and I always feel to remember, is that with this Assetto Corsa Competizione, it's the new start-finish line, not the old start-finish line, which is on the run down to Eau Rouge. I always get myself excited here. I always get overly hyped up and get myself revved up, and then realise that they don't actually get set off here. Thankfully, I've done it many times. Now, Tapel, you were saying that this is one of your favourite tracks. I find myself a little bit bored with Spa, just purely because of how often that it's raced. Again, that's purely as a driver. Watching it though, it's damn fun. It's damn entertaining every single time. that you get to see it. But as a driver behind the wheel, yeah, heck, it's a bit same. However, the beat goes on, and we are ready to race here for rounds 9, and this is looking very, very interesting indeed. Round 9 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship about to get underway. George Boothby, Sakari Lehtinen on the front row of the grid. Who's going to get the jump here? Boothby hands the line here. Sakari Lehtinen gets a great jump though. They're side by side as they're coming through Eau Rouge and Radion, and Sakari Lehtinen takes the lead. And again, George Boothby with a very, very, very reserved start here. Almost like he is nursing those tyres and making sure he can get the best of them. But here comes Cody Sherritt weaving one way and then the other, trying to make a move here. Meanwhile, Sakari Lehtinen is saying thank you very, very much here to Pello.
Yeah, look, brilliant start from Sakari Lehtinen. Kind of timed it perfectly, knew where to position that car going into Eau Rouge, knew that Eau Rouge would favour them being on the inside. Again, you're right, George Boothby kind of measured in his approach once again, but we saw that in the previous races as well, kind of measured in the start, finishing really, really strong and putting pressure in the last, 20 minutes or so. It's going to be difficult. I think a lot of people are looking to place their cars in position. As we can see, there's already massive aggression and pressure from the likes of Cody Sherritt and Dennis Vichok as we go to Sasha Vasner coming up from P12. Again, pressure galore on the circuit. Everyone survived, Eau Rouge, which tends to be a pinch point because people lose traction going up there, kind of cold tires trying to settle. So everyone survived that. It looks like we're going to get a clean first lap, but yeah, there's a bit of contact there, so right on time, curse of the commentator once again. But again, very, very measured start from the majority of the grid, just trying to find their place on this circuit, but doing it in such a way that they're still bunched up, they still have eyes on the car in front and a bit of pressure from the cars behind. So it is looking interesting so far, David.
Yeah, you know how in FPS games you get aim bots that aim for you? I'm pretty sure that's what we've got here in ACC just now. We've got drive bots just now because they are all far too well behaved here, although we see Tommy Rozier getting a little bit of a nibble there from Sasha Vasner, who tries to go around the outside into the final corner there. Very, very opportunistic. Beautiful move there from Sasha Vasner. Tommy Rozier held up by his teammate there, and that is going to be a fantastic position gain there. George Boothby though still in second place. They come down through La Source for the second time. The first full lap completed and in the books here as we go across the line and down through Eau Rouge and Radion. And again, George Boothby doesn't seem to be able to keep on to the back of that Honda coming out of La Source there. It gets a run, but it's all about slipstream here coming through the Kemmel Straight here on the run down to Les Combes. And into that chicane there, as you go through the right and the left, he's late on the brakes, absolutely makes a meal out of that. Cody Sherritt's going to be chomping at the bit to try and take that position there, and thankfully he doesn't seem to have lost anything there. Simone Seminara is getting manhandled, I think is the best way I can say that here right now. You've got Rochelle trying to make a move 3 wide into the corner. What do you think is going to happen? Of course there's going to be contact there, and that looks like, I think that was Luke, oh no, that was Christian Deploy that was sent sideways there into the corner. In fact, no, it wasn't actually. It was the car behind it. I thought it was it looked like a Ferrari that got sent sideways at the back there, but either way they got caught out. And well, yeah, there we go. We got one lap of them behaving, and this is the Genisus Risk bunch that we know.
Look, they were kind of sizing each other up before the hits came in thick and fast. But again, very, very interesting. Just trying to look at some of the strengths of the cars. We've been able to pick up so far in this season, kind of the strengths of each package, where each car looks strong, and especially looking at the drivers where they feel comfortable. So far it's looking all equal. I'm just trying to look at the different cars. We've got the Mercedes front engine rear wheel drive, we've got the mid-engine cars, but I was very interested as we were riding on board with George Boothby, looking at the exits that Sakari Lehtinen is able to get out of these slow-ish corners like La Source. There's a solid platform there as we look, cars going side by side. very, very tricky to keep track on what's happening on track and keep speaking, but that is why we're here. That's why we love it. Let's see as they break into La Source. Again, 4 cars going into one corner. The guys are making it look fairly simple, but it is so difficult to try and be composed and avoid incidents when there are cars all around you. You have to find your line, place your car, and hope for the best. But again, Sasha Vastner in a tremendous battle, putting pressure, but also under pressure themselves. As we look at Cody Sherrod currently in P7, putting pressure on Dennis Vichok, looking well within the slipstream here, David, but I don't think they'll be close enough to go for the move as they head into Lecombe.
No, that's exactly it. It feels like they're trying. I mean, Sasha Vassar is absolutely doing everything they possibly can. And the great thing is he's using those Genesis Risk cars who are tripping up over themselves and unfortunately shown into the gravel. Well, I'll take everything that was about to say about Sasha Vassner and just firmly put it in the bin right now because he's back down to 13th position. Albin Manson gets that place back and he is dumped down there just now. Either way, they've got to remember that there is still another 84 minutes still to go in this race. You'd be forgiven for thinking that this was a 20-minute sprint race. They are absolutely going for it right now. This is what I'm most confused about. George Boothby in the Ferrari, the last couple of races, now we saw Philippe Minard and the pace that he has had. Because we know George Boothby, right, in the last season and say this season as well, he goes out front and he just absolutely dominates. He just runs away with it. And the last couple of races he hasn't done that. He's really been held to account, and it feels like if you let George Boothby away in the leads, then he's done. But if you get past him in that first lap, then he really struggles to get past us. We're watching Dennis Vichok here onto the back of Samir Fortune coming down to that final chicane. Vichok goes to the outside line, but surely that is going to be held on. But that's a very opportunistic move there from Sherrod as well. You've got Valentin Barrier and Abe Santiva also in the mix here. This is getting very sketchy indeed. And, you know, to be fair to them, right, we've had 3 laps of this racing here and very little drama. Fair play to everybody that's involved here at Tapello. The fact that they can fight and they can have an absolute blast here without nuking everybody. I'm all here for this.
I'll tell you what, it looks like they're having a lot of fun that these drivers are having. But yeah, it's looking so good, right? Like I'm saying, I'm not seeing a particular strength of some of these cars where we can say one package is stronger than the other. Yes, there might be minute differences, but from the outset, it just really looks solid for each driver. And I think that's the consequence of going so deep into a season. With 9 rounds in the season, every driver now understands their package really well, how to set up, how to drive it actually, because that's one thing that often gets lost in translation in sim racing for a lot of people that are novices to the series and to the sport as a whole, is you need to learn how to drive. It sounds like a very stupid thing to say, but you need to learn the strengths of your package and how to drive it to maximize its potential. So 9 rounds in, the drivers look like they're fairly comfortable in their own packages now, and now they're trying to exploit the utmost maximum, that last 1% that makes the difference. And you're right, looking at George Boothby, who is looking really close to Sakari Litton, and just looking at the timing charts there on the left, you put him under pressure in the first lap, you might have a chance. Can't run away, you keep him under pressure, keep him honest. But yeah, as he gets the overtake and now he's in first place. So now is that moment where George Boothby starts to run away with a race. I think it's going to be difficult to call, but I think Sakari Littonen might have made a mistake because he seems to have lost a lot of time to George Boothby in the occurrence of that overtake that we didn't see. But hopefully our production team might have something for us. But yes, Sakari Littonen already under pressure from Grantis Karaka, so I think there was a bit of a mistake that happened off camera for Sakari Littonen there, David.
Well, this is the point that I was bringing up here, is the fact that George Boothby, he seems to be slow at the start, but it's a very controlled pace as he brings up the tires. Let's have a look at what happened then with Lettinen. This is on the entry to Lecombe, on the exit of the Kemmel Straight, and no, that's it. He's done the move there. Looks like a little bit of a nibble there from the Ferrari, but I do wonder if maybe the Honda's just pushed a little bit too hard at this point, and that Ferrari now being able to show its natural pace. But that being said, here comes the Honda again, coming down the Kemmel Straight here, right onto the back of the Ferrari, so it's obviously got the pace. It was tying for pole position at one point, and well, that worry that we had, the concern that we had, I think is going to dissipate here, because as long as he's free from the pressure of Genisus, then Sakari Lehtinen can chase down that car of Boothby in front. Remember, 90-minute race as well, so they are going to have to think about their tyres for a little bit longer, think about the fuel that they've got on, and think about the pace that they're able to do with that sort of stuff just now. The other thing with that as well is that, you know, they've got 20 minutes in which they can do the pit stop window here. Surely by round 9, these drivers are aware of what we've seen in the past couple of weeks, and decide that they're going to take that into account. You know, maybe deciding to pit a little bit later.
Yeah, look, I'll tell you one thing that these drivers do really, really well is that they analyze their races. They kind of know what's happening. And you hear it a lot when we do the post-race interviews with the podium sitters, but it's not only limited to them, it's everyone, I believe, in this championship. They're really, really good at evaluating their previous performance, understanding what went wrong, what went right, what needs to improve for the next race. So I'm with you, David. I think by now they've figured out which strategy works when it comes to the pit stops, how long to run it. It's been a while since we last had a 90-minute race, so that might be a bit of a span in the works in terms of figuring out how to drive the circuit, because it can really be punishing on the rear tires, so they tend to be the first set to go around the circuit. But they should have it figured out, as we see Tommy Rozier trying for a move there on Noel Hatche, but Noel holding on in that McLaren. As we see Cody Sharrett again, this battle continues between Cody Sharrett, that Valentin Berrier, yes it is, with the new livery on that Aston Martin. I love the all purple, but this black and purple is working for me as well.
Yeah, it really does look fantastic. And going side by side, then Cody Sherritt and Dennis Vietshort. You can see Valentin Barrier just in the background. So Sherritt takes the position, moves up to P6, but for how long? Because this is going to be a slipstream train coming down the Kemmel Straight here. 4 cars toe by toe. It's probably going to be 3 wide. There you can see comes Dennis Vietshort, and goes Valentin Barrier onto the brakes into Les Combes. And there goes Valentin Barrier, opportunistic as ever. Vietshort tried to make the move there, but it wasn't good enough as the Aston Martin slips on by. This is exactly what I was saying there. Valentin Barrier was, a little bit outside that top 10 on the qualifying, but absolutely making moves left, right and centre here. We've got 2 proper little groups here. George Boothby, Sakari Lehtinen, Grantis Caracas and Noah Eder, and then behind that you've got Dennis Vietshort with Cody Sherritt, Valentin Barrier and Abe Santima as well. So the one thing again that's very, very much impressed me is that through the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship, the Genesis Esports team and the Genesis Esports Academy team have just done a stellar job to Pello during the fighting and bringing all the pressure.
For sure, and we spoke about this last week, just the constant development of these drivers, and it seems like they've lived up tenfold to the Kaizen principle of getting better each week. The progress you make, evaluating, learning, just understanding where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are. And that's why we can see these sort of trains develop around circuit where drivers can cluster together. They can be so competitive with each other, as we ride here on board with Albin Mansell. Again, putting a lot of pressure on Noel Hatche. And I think this will be a move going into the chicane at the end. Let's see where they brake. They go to the outside, hard on the brakes. This is a very, very heavy braking zone. The advantage should come to them. Trying for the switcheroo, let's see, around this final corner. I don't think they'll be close enough. But again, very, very competitive racing from these drivers. But Albin Manson, again, trying to find that move. And you have to start to question, at what point do you kind of hold position and try for the move later? But as we see, Sakari Lehtinen in P2 getting close again to George Boothby in the Ferrari, now fully within the slipstream as they head down the Kemmel Straight. So this might be the opportune moment for Sakari Lehtinen to try and get the revenge overtake, but the Ferrari is looking stable, getting a good exit up Eau Rouge and Radion and holding the position as they get to Lake Home. So again, defending with precision and speed once again from George Boothby.
And it's just been absolutely fantastic to watch Christian Duploy try to make a move on the outside of Clifford. 2-1 surely isn't going to go. Clifford has the outside line through Lecom. A little bit of a hip check there from Christian Duploy, and the Lamborghini trying to hold its line shoves that Mercedes off to the grass on the inside here. Firm fighting, aggressive fighting between the two. And remember, this is for 18th and 19th position here. So that Lamborghini holds on to the position. And wow. Fantastic stuff here. Absolutely loving everything that is going on. And great to see that the battle's not only going, to the top of the field, but all the way down the back end of the field as well. Albin Manson trying to take position here from the number 4 of Noel Hatche. You've got Simone Seminara in the BMW. That BMW just really hasn't been anywhere this season, unfortunately. Still, it's been enjoyable to watch, and I think Noel and Simone really have been enjoying being at the thick of things through the course of this season.
Yeah, I can't speak on their behalf, but I assume they have. And what's very nice to see is just how solid they've become. A lot of times at the start of the season, you see drivers fluctuate a lot. They'll kind of get to a peak in positions, then fall off, and then come back again. But the beauty has been that the likes of Simone Seminara, your Albin Mansons, they've kind of figured out now how to hold position in a race, and they can maintain that for consecutive laps, a full stint. So that's the development coming in. As we see, there's a three-way battle going here as we ride on board with Simone Seminar, trying to find the perfect line to try and go for that overtake. Braking on the outside, very tricky to get right, but it's all about getting that cut back and getting on the power as soon as possible, because you want to get on power early as you head down to Eau Rouge and try and force a move. Very dangerous going up Eau Rouge, but try to get that fine line and then start pushing as you head down the Kemmel Straight and hoping for a move there using the slipstream. So getting it right down up Eau Rouge and Radion is good, as we see Simone Seminara in the BMW had a good exit there, is deeply on the outside of Albin Manson, who's just gone for that defensive line down the center of the circuit, and defense done once again. Another attack defended, and onwards we go.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I was expecting a very different race than the one we've had just now. I was expecting gaps to be everywhere 20 minutes into this race, and that's not the case at all. It's very, very close. We've got a pack of 4 fighting for the lead. You've got Sakari Lettinen onto the back of George Boothby here. Grantis Caracas behind him as well. Noah Ader in this fight as well. Samir Fortune, Cody Sherritt kind of on their own, although Sherritt has got Valentin Barrier there, the sweet short, and Abe Santima. And now Tommy Rozier has come to join that fight as well. If they keep tripping over each other as well, that's going to bring Sasha Fassner back into that fight there. And then you've got Noel Hatche, Albin Manson, Simone Seminara in a 3-car fight there. And then you've got Luke Addison, Rochelle and Loverink all in a battle there as well. So again, all of these little fights going on. We've seen it in other races in the past here in the championship, where 20 minutes in and we're looking at 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds of a gap here. But I think these little slipstream trains are exactly what is keeping this race so entertaining just now, because for the likes of the leader at the moment, for George Boothby, although he is 2/3 tenths of a second ahead, I just don't think that's enough. I don't think that's enough to get rid of Lettinen, especially if he gets a good run out of the source and straight onto the back of Boothby. I mean, this could be anybody's right now.
Yeah, it's one of those weird situations in the race where everyone has the pace, but no one has the pace to pull away. So you're kind of holding position, and the slipstream is working for the guys that are coming from behind. But what's very, very interesting, and I was just looking at the competition between the front 3, George Boothby, Sakari Lettinen and Grantis Caracas, is Grantis Caracas is looking ominous just by the position they're holding. But as we see here, Abe Santima trying for the move against Dennis Vicholk, going around the outside. So let's see, it's all about who's brave going on the brakes. They're side to side going in the brakes. Is Abe Santima ahead? Yes, the move has been done. Abe Santima has been looking for it, but Dennis Vicholk is not letting that go. Has the inside line here. So again, we will see another challenge into these braking zones. They're going side by side, they're holding position really, really well, and they are trying to race each other cleanly. But the advantage there is with Dennis Vichok, who holds that defensive line perfectly, gets the good exit, and can maintain position once again. So Epson Tima has kind of seen where they can try for the position. It's just about setting it up for another lap or two.
Oh, this is amazing stuff going on right now. This is a fantastic little battle here. Sasha Vassner on the tail end of getting into this lot as well. You can see Noel Hache off in the background. In fact, there is Sasha Vassner right onto the back of them here. It's all closed up, as you can see. Simone Seminara and Albin Mansen, a little bit of touchy-feely coming through the tail end of the circuit here. This is coming through Lafanya. And, well, you're not going to get away with that. Simone Seminara, he's trying desperately to get this position. He's going to have to watch out, because here comes Luke Addison on an absolute charge. Got the overspeed as they come through Carpentras through into Blanchimont. That's an amazing bit of work there from Luke Addison. And then they come up to this final chicane, little bit of contact, clip of the curb at Blanchimont there. I'll tell you what, they are brave boys out there doing this stuff tonight, because it is getting very rowdy, and I'll be honest, I'm loving it. I'm loving every minute of it. And given how calm and collected Bathurst was for the majority of the time here, half an hour of this is awesome racing here, Tapello.
I can't believe it's been 20 minutes of this race already. There's been so much action to call, and you see a bit of contact there in the rear, so that's just unfortunate. Simone Seminara getting it a tad wrong under braking, and that tends to happen when you're fighting. You're trying to find your position, but here we see Luke Addison had just gotten the position, returning back on track, but they will be under immense pressure heading down the Kemmel Straight. Already Simone Seminara has pulled out because they had such a good run through Eau Rouge and Radion. So we will see another battle heading into the braking zone. But key to focus on here is Lovrink, who was looking, thought they had the inside line there, but not close enough to make a move. But again, we see a bit of contact between Simone Seminara and Luke Addison. Simone Seminara staying ahead, but it is looking very shaky between these drivers. It is very competitive, and each one is trying to win that advantage for themselves. So on to another lap we go. This challenge will keep on going on for the foreseeable future.
It really will, and long may it continue, because I am loving it now, because it looks like we're almost getting a 5-car battle for this. Luke Harrison is just a little bit ahead of Simone Seminara, so that gap has pretty much exploded. Abe Santima, though, still fighting with Dennis Vichok. You've got Sasha Vassner and Tommy Rozier. Sakari Lehtinen, though, fastest lap of the race, and still just 0.2 of a second. This is now a proper 3-car fight, because Grantis Caracas now onto the back end of them here as they come up towards Blanchimont for the 9th time of asking. We'll start lap 10 very shortly. I do wonder if Lehtinen is just easing off just now. He's staying in the toe of Boothby, letting that car do all the work, and that's a mistake there from Boothby, going very late into the chicane. And here comes Grandes Caracas. Now, could this be a little move on the inside of La Source? He's simply got the slipstream, he's got the run. Let's see if he is able to do anything with it. But I honestly think it looks like Lehtinen is wanting to just stay in the shadows of Boothby just now and wait until it comes up to pit stop time, and then possibly try and do him on strategy.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think Sakari Lehtinen at this point in the race has kind of deduced that it is more effective to stay within the slipstream of George Boothby, because therein lies the advantage, right? A driver like George Boothby, as we've often so mentioned, is that once they're in front, they maintain the speed. As we look at Grantis Caracas pulling the move on Sakari Lehtinen down the braking zone, getting it very early done into the braking of Lecum. So a brilliant move from Grantis Caracas, showing us that they're not going to hold position, they're going to put pressure, and they are firmly behind George Boothby. So forget what I was saying about Sakari Lehtinen for now. We'll get back to that. But yes, the pressure is on between these top 3, ladies and gentlemen, as we see Skylar following on with Skylar Lovrink, putting pressure again once again on Luke Edison. So this pressure is continuing lap after lap after lap. And it is these kind of races that make it so difficult, because you do not want to overdrive, but at the same time, you do want to remain competitive. And if everyone is putting the pressure on you, that forces you to do something out of the ordinary. And one thing I can tell you that these drivers are having to do, it is maintain an absolute barnstorming pace. 25 minutes into this race, we've had 10 laps and they are pushing each other to the limit. And so far, these drivers are standing up to the pressure really well. As we go to the front again, David, with Genisus Risk and George Boothby, the pressure is on for that P1 position.
It absolutely is, given that these two are 1 and 2 in the championship at this late stage of the season. Just 38 points separating the two of them just now, and it is way too close to call now. Obviously, there's only 6 points difference between first and second place, but Caracas sure as hell would like to have that 6-point deficit going his way rather than George Boothby's way. Sasha Vassner, though, still trying to make a move. You've got Abe Santima trying to have a look onto Dennis Vietschork as well. So that Genisus Risk car in between a rock and a hard place right now, because you've got two very fast cars, one in front, one in behind as well. And that is not an enviable position to be. But Santima, you could tell from the body language he was always going to make that dive out, but has that cost him a little bit of time? We're on board with Sasha Vassner now, trying to get a little bit of tone. Now that Merc actually dives out to the inside. There's a little bit of weave in there from Dennis Vietschork. Abe Santima firmly into the back as they go through Eau Rouge, then up through Radion, and then it's on to the Kemmel corner and then the Kemmel straight here. Could this be it though? Santima has the slipstream onto Dennis Vietschork. Surely though, it's going to be around the outside, and again Dennis Vietschork trying to squeeze that car as much as possible. Abe Santima though trying to go around the outside, gets the run through the outside, but again Dennis Vietschork is going to have the inside line. Can we see a drive through the outside here? Santima almost had it. Does he have it going into that double right-hander? He does. So that is a fantastic move there from Abe Santima round the outside at Bruel. That is a ballsy move, and unfortunately that now leaves Dennis Vietschork very vulnerable to Sasha Vassner, as we've almost done half an hour in this 90-minute race. If you've just joined us, a very warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is round 9 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship here from Spa-Francorchamps. It's Dave Christie here on the microphone, along with Tapelo Merioli, bringing you all of the action here tonight. And boy, oh boy, George Boothby in the lead ahead of Grantas Caracas, Sakari Lehtinen in third position. You've also got Noah Ader up to 4th. Now remember, Noah Ader started in 6th position, so that's a great drive from them just now. But all 4 of those cars are within a second and a half of George Boothby. So yeah, thrilling stuff. But Grantas Caracas, he's decided enough is enough. It's go time now. He moves to the inside. It's going to be into the final chicane. Caracas sends it. He's too deep on the brakes, but he's got the inside line. He's going to fight George Boothby tooth and nail for this one. And have a look at this. Here comes Sakari Lehtinen. It's almost 3 wide as they come across the start-finish line. This is all going to end in tears. This is all getting a little bit too fisticuffs. There comes Noah Ader as well. Sent it up into the source, and Noah Ader now up into P3. George Boothby retains the lead of the race. It's Grantas Caracas back into second place there. Noah Ader now takes third position, and Sakari Lehtinen is mugged and sent down into 4th. Wow, that was amazing. The patience has now run out, and that's a big moment there for Sakari Lehtinen. Sorry, not for Sakari Lehtinen, for Noah Ader there. Had a big wobble at the top of Eau Rouge and Radion, and we've got side by side for the lead and almost side by side down behind. There goes Grantas Caracas round the outside. He's got the inside line. He's going to try and lean on to George Boothby. Boothby gets the run out. It's a pole position. It's a mirror of what we had on the last lap there further down the field from Dennis Vietschork. But it's again going to be Caracas trying to go around the outside. Boothby gives him a little bit of a punch there, and wow. Tapelo, this is just absolutely bonkers.
Well, I don't know how much you paid for these seats, Christy, but we have the premium box seats for this race and this amazing challenge between these drivers who are leaving no stone left unturned. They're throwing everything bar the kitchen sink at trying to get these overtakes. But again, brilliant driving. So good to see actually how brave Grantis Caracas is on the brakes, trying to put that pressure on George Boothby and just braking as we have a race control message. Incident between cars 12 and 13 on lap 10. 5-second time penalty to car 12 for causing a collision. So that is for Simone Seminara, and we saw some of that contact just trying to find their place. I think it was the incident where they just outbrake themselves into a corner, but we'll see, definitely get a replay from our production team. But in the meantime, as we look again, Grantis Caracas has the run going on George Boothby, but we focus here on Albin Manson. Once again, this challenge is still continuing between Albin Manson and Noel Hatche. Noel Hatche has been holding onto this position extremely well, surviving a lot of pressure just by putting the car in the right spots. As you see, they've got that defensive line down to a T. Kind of hold it in the middle of the circuit, be good on your brakes, don't outbrake yourself, get through those corners as smooth as possible, and then on the power without wiggling that rear, which tends to happen out of these slow corners. You see, they're running that defensive line again fully within the inside. Let's see how they break here and take La Source, as we see Albin Manson looking for the space. They've tried to get this switch done, and it's all about the drag race down to Eau Rouge. As we can see, Albin Manson on the inside is just ahead by a nose, but Noel Hatche is holding on in that McLaren as they go through Eau Rouge. Noel Hatche down into Eau Rouge and up into Radion, holding that position really well. But as we see, Simone Seminara getting the move done on Albin Manson. So Manson kind of backing out of the move there and presenting the opportunity for the overtake from Seminara. So brilliant racing once again, brilliant awareness from Seminara to see where there's a bit of a change in momentum and where they should go for the whole shot move.
Yeah, I think that's been the double jump done by Simone Seminara, because they've got ahead of Noel Hatche as well there. You saw the incredible pace that Seminara had with that BMW, so fantastic to see that. Either way, it rounds the corners, they come. Noah Ader now still trying to fight for the second position. Now look at that, that's given a bit of a gap to George Boothby here. Sakari Lehtinen is very patiently waiting there in fourth position. Now this has given him a huge gap here of around about 2-3 tenths of a second. Samir Foch is wanting to come and join this little group here as well. So Caracas is in a real difficult position now, because if he wants to challenge for that lead, he needs to get a move on. That's now 9 tenths of a second, and it's absolutely been blown wide open. We're going to have the pit stop window, I believe, opening in around about 8 minutes time. And boy, oh boy, that will be very interesting to see when we have takers down the pit road. But George Boothby again, I think enjoying a little bit of calm and serenity now. He's able to just focus on his own race without having to focus on getting murdered by 3 separate cars. And indeed, there is Samir Foch. So these 3 cars now are absolutely tripping themselves up. Well, I say that. The last lap there from George Boothby, 2:18.5. Last lap from Caracas, 2:19.1. Samir Foch, 2:18.2. And Cody Sherritt 2:18.4, so they are about 8 to 9 tenths of a second slower than the cars around them here. Tapello, that is going to leave them very vulnerable for sure here.
Yeah, and isn't that something we've spoken about so many times this season, David, about just how much time you lose in trying to defend? You're not focused on where you should be going, you're kind of focused on maintaining position. So defending can cost you time, and someone who's loving all this fighting and jostling for position is Samir Foch, because it is bringing them into this battle for second place. But so far so good for the likes of George Boothby, who's just holding on and trying to open that gap and give themselves some breathing room. But Grantis Caracas is holding on to the position really well. Noah Ader is there, Sakari Lehtinen thereabouts as well in that Honda, looking actually very solid, the Honda today, as we've seen the car really pick up form, and Sakari Lehtinen learning how to drive that Honda and maximize the potential of that package. So again, the battle is always on for the podium positions. It will be interesting to see who blinks first as we head down to the pit time when the pit lane opens. We'll see who blinked first or who's going to hold and try for that glorious overcut strategy. But so far, very interesting battles all around the circuit, and these drivers are looking confident as ever in trying to get these moves.
Yeah, with that note then, obviously what we have to watch out for is the fact that Boothby is still getting caught hand over fist now. That gap was 9/10 of a second, it's now 6/10 of a second. So again, it seems to be as soon as Caracas can get away from Ada behind him, he can focus on catching up to our race leader. And we've now got a 5-car fight for the lead coming up to the final chicane here just now. Pit stops are going to be coming in very, very shortly indeed. This is on board with Tom Rozier onto the back end of Dennis Vietshorp, the McLaren versus the Mercedes. The Mercedes has a little think about it, sticks the rather long nose of the Merc up in front, but decides to pull away and think better of it. That gap now at the front now, 7/10 of a second, so it is kind of ebbing and flowing, but they're coming out of the source. The one thing I'm noticing as well, Cody Shed at 2.7 seconds off that lead group, but he is slowly starting to catch here. Not something I thought I would have been saying 30 minutes into a 90-minute race, that we've still got 5 cars within 2 seconds of the race leader, as Rochelle in the number 77 Lamborghini gets a 10 seconds penalty.
So another heavy penalty for another driver. Once again, another week, another 10-second penalty dished out. But so far, the challenge is looking interesting. And as we look at Tommy Rozier, still fighting with Dennis Vietshorp for position. But as we go down to Skylar Lovrink in the Ferrari, looking for that move on Luke Addison, and this has been going on for a while. They haven't, I wouldn't say they've been this close, but they've kind of threatened each other by just making sure that the other knows that they're there. But Skylar Lovrink looks like they have the inside line here, but again, Luke Addison showing tremendous defense in that Ferrari, and again these drivers showing that they can give each other room while still maintaining that aggressiveness. But as we see, another race control incident between car 77 and 999 on lap 15, 10-second time penalty to car 77, which is Rochelle in the Lamborghini, for causing a collision. So the stewards, as much as they entertain, but they still need to keep an eye on what's happening around the circuit and keep those penalties thick and fast incoming.
Yeah, they're keeping a firm eye on this championship and on this race. It's great to see, and a huge thank you to our stewards and our volunteers behind the scene for all of the work that they do, making this championship run so smoothly. And there we go then, ladies and gentlemen, the pit window has opened. 55 minutes it is, and that will close at 35 minutes left to go in the race. So here's the next port of topic. Is going to be that strategy now. Again, week after week, we've seen the later drivers into the pit lane get that overcut, get it done very, very well. We have occasionally on 1 or 2 races seen the undercut do okay, but I mean, well, there we go. First car into pit lane, Tommy Rozier. I'm thinking we're going to see, for the most of them, going in later.
Yeah, I think plan A for a lot of drivers is going for that late pit stop, just to give yourself the advantage in the second stint of the race, to try and get everything done and try and turn up the pace then. So for now, and I think it's very key to notice that, look, we've seen drivers, pull into the pit lane to kind of avoid the pressure that they're under, or nothing is really happening. But what is happening for a lot of drivers in this race so far is, as much as they're in their groups are maintaining pace. So even if you're the second, third or fourth car in a train, you're not actually losing that much. So trying to take a pit stop to try and avoid that isn't going to make that big of a difference. So it might be advantageous to keep with your group and keep on going, to go for that later pit stop. But you're right, David, there's a lot of math to be done for these drivers. There's a lot of positioning, a lot of strategy for them to do. So it will be very interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, of course, a very long run down pit stop as well, so that's going to have to be thought about. The other thing is drive-through penalties, something that we've not seen too many of this season, but can be given out, have been given out, and will be an absolute death sentence for your race tonight if you are to get one. Meanwhile, back at the front of the race then, George Boothby still in the lead of the race ahead of Grantis Caracas. The gap stabilising at 0.79 seconds ahead of Caracas. Noah Ader is in third position, just half a second behind Caracas. Then Leitonen is there as well, 0.6 of a second, and then Samir Foch. Of course, the mandatory pit window is now open. The drivers have to come in and collect fuel and tyres as well. The whole topic of what we've just been discussing there is about whether the overcut, which is when you come in later, or whether the undercut works best. And again, different strokes, I think, for different folks. I think if you're faster than the cars in front of you, then you are certainly going to want to pit earlier and potentially not be stuck behind some of the cars. So Jean Rochelle, for instance, is chasing down Lovrink and Luke Addison. However, the addition with that is that Jan Rochelle has got that 10-second penalty, which will be served at the pit stop. So that is essentially an extra 10 seconds that you get held in your pit box just now. So 50 minutes left to go in this race here. We're back up to the front. Noah Eder now putting more pressure on Grantis Caracas. I am surprised to see that George Boothby hasn't run away with this thing, because it has broken that whole thing that we saw in the early morning. That's I'm a little bit surprised that he's not been able to get away, and it's kind of broken that whole myth that we had that, once Boothby gets out in front, he's away and off like a shot, because, Grants Caracas and Noah Eder, while they're fighting, they're still keeping him honest, I think, here.
Yeah, look, I can't tell you what changed, but you're right, there is a visible change, and maybe that's it, right? Sometimes you have the pace to stay in front, but not the pace to pull away, and I think that's what we're seeing with George Boothby here. But one thing that's been interesting so far for me this season, just on the topic of strategy and when to take the pit stop, is how confident these drivers have been in their own strategy. Oftentimes you see the strategy play out in the following way, where in a group, if one car pits, the next lap, a lot of the cars within that group will start to pit to try and cover them off and kind of replicate their strategy to hold them off and keep things as neutral as possible. But what we've seen in the series so far is that a lot of these drivers are so confident in their strategy that they do not really, I wouldn't say they don't care, but they're not flustered by who pits around them. If someone is going for the major gamble of taking that early pit stop, a lot of drivers will still continue with their strategy of going for the later pit stop and trying to make that work. So there's a lot of confidence that goes into play in how you tackle these pit stops and how you just tackle that strategy. But so far, so good for a lot of drivers. But as we see here, the battle between Luke Addison and Lovrink still going on. Skylar Lovrink just trying to find that opening, that chink in the armor of Luke Addison, and it's not coming up so far. But as we see, Noel Hatche in the pit. Oh, and Skylar Lovrink getting their car, hitting the walls, just making sure that they're leaving and taking a memento and leaving some paint on the walls there. So that is not good for their race. They will have lost a tremendous amount of time there in terms of strategy.
Oh no, I get the feeling that we're going to see a replay of that very soon. I think we're all going to rather naughtily chuckle to ourselves at that does look like one of those oopsie moments there from Skylar Lovrink. A bit of a mistake there, and that's going to add insult to injury down there in that fighting for 15th position. And going to drop the car down a little bit further. Right, the gap to the leader now, surprisingly, is still coming down. It's now half a second with George Boothby and Grantis Caracas, both them in the Ferraris. Noah Eder in the number 46 McLaren, Sakari Lettinen in that number 30 Honda. So the question is this pace management? Is this tyres from George Boothby? What is the reason for that car not absolutely heading off into the sunshine? Now, again, that actually is quite a derogatory comment, because that's completely discounting the effort that Grantis Caracas and Noah Eder are putting in here. So it could genuinely be that Caracas and Eder are absolutely smashing in the pace here. But again, what confuses me is that when you look at previous rounds, when Boothby was like, half a second to 0.6 of a second faster than the rest of the field, and that's not really kind of come about here. Either way, it gives us a fantastic finish, setting up for the second half of this race, which is coming up in just over a minute's time, if you can believe we've already done, ladies and gentlemen. 45 minutes here of Spa, and there we go, Grantis Caracas now smells blood as Noel Hatche comes out of pit lane. Oh my, you saw just how late Caracas was on the brakes there. And there you go, 0.3 of a second. They are nose to tail coming out of the start-finish straight. They're down into La Source. And if they're not careful, they're actually going to start catching some of these cars that are going into pit lane. Maybe not so much Skylar Lovering. Oh, and that's bad to worse. Skylar Lovering gets a 30-second stop-go penalty. Insult to injury, that incident on the exit of pit lane, and I get the feeling that Lovering might be heading out. But here we go then. Genisus Caracas putting George Boothby under all sorts of pressure here, coming down the Kemmel Straight there. Caracas pulls out a little bit earlier. Remember, this is for the championship fight right now. George Boothby leading the championship by 38 points ahead of Genisus Caracas with just 4 rounds, including this one, 3 rounds after this to go here. Not many points on offer, 100 or so points for the race winner, 102 actually. And the thing is that there's only 6 points between first and second place in terms of winning per race. But still, Caracas wants to take up all of the points, doesn't he, Tapello, that he possibly can in every single race and not leave it to chance.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all you can do, right? The best way to put pressure is just to keep racking in those points, no matter how your performance is. And it's something we've spoken about the season already, is that even on a bad day, you still want your bad day to result in a really positive and really good haul of points. And that's what Genisus Caracas is trying to do. If their bad day is a podium, then let it be so. But on a good day like this, where they have the speed, the pace, the mentality to be competitive against the George Boothby, why not put George Boothby under pressure? See if you can make them break, see if you can make them shake, and hopefully go for that race win. And that is what you need to do sometimes in the season. As we go on board with Genisus Caracas once again heading down into the chicane, can they get this move done? George Boothby holds their brakes really well, and George Boothby seems like is gone down to the pits. So yes, they have blinked. George Boothby, Noah Ada, and Sakari Lehtinen have all gone into the pits, and Genisus Caracas has stayed out. So we are now seeing the change in strategy, the difference in strategy starting to play a role. A lot of cars going down the pit. Valentin Barrier as well, the latest to join in, as we see Sasha Vastner as well in the Mercedes taking their mandatory pit stop. So now the pressure is on Genisus Caracas. How can they handle this pit stop period? Can they maintain their pace to stay ahead eventually when they take their pit stop?
Well, that's what we're looking for. Simone Simonara returning to the garage after a crash there. I get the feeling that is going to be a rage quit for the number 12 there. Gets a drive-through penalty for exceeding track limits here. The thing for me though is Caracas was obviously on the charge, obviously had a little bit of pace here, and that's exactly why I think George Boothby decided to pit when he did. The question is George Boothby still going to come out in the front of that group? Because if he gets held up behind Noah Ada or Sakari Lehtinen, that is going to spell big trouble. That number 800 is already out of his pit box. He's making his way down pit lane just now as we speak, and I think he is going to be the first of that group out just now. Alvin Manson down into 5th position, or up into 5th position as well. And as we get a replay then of what happened to Simone Simonara, and yeah, that's a rage quit. He's pulled the car off the grid, he's received that drive-through penalty, and he's thought, yeah, I'm just not having anything to do with that right now. So there we go. That is going to be a car that is into pit lane. I cannot see that thing taking any further part in the race tonight. Same with Skylar Lovering into the pits for that stop go 30. We'll see if that car comes back out. And here we go then. The cars all coming out of pit lane, and the number 52 is Skylar Lovering. So that's the car that's had that stop go 30. They've just got ahead. Now that's going to be interesting because that's going to be lap traffic for George Boothby. So George Boothby gets out, and it's Noah Ada, I believe, and Sasha Vastner gets a stop go 30 as well, presumably for speeding on the entry to pit lane here. This is all going wrong for a lot of these drivers here. Genisus Caracas is keeping on going. He's gone into the pits as well. So Genisus Caracas has now suddenly gone into pit lane, and we have a race on our hands. Cody Sherritt in the pits as well. And Tapello, this is now it. This is now where we need to see what George Boothby has got in the tank after that pit stop.
Yeah, now we've I always love this phase of the race where it seems like the endurance part of the race is done, right? They've kind of done the whole, let me set up for strategy, let me try and hold position, let me try and work this race out. And now it's kind of like we've gotten into the sprint section of the race where you've done your pit stops, you don't need to stop anymore. And now it is all about the pace. How quickly can you do your stint? How well can you manage your tires? And it's just about maximizing each lap after lap after lap. How quick can you go?
Oh, this is going to be so tight. If I'm honest, my gut says that I think Genisus Caracas is going to come out in the lead of this race. But again, we'll have to just wait and see as the cars making their way through. It's such a long pit lane as well. And when they are doing that, it just takes up so much time. You've got through into the final chicane comes George Boothby, and if it is in the lead, it's going to be a very marginal lead. I think that Genisus Caracas has, but again, we'll just have to see how it goes. We've got one corner left to go through into La Source, and then it's on the run down into Eau Rouge, and then up through Radion. The iconic corners here at Spa-Francorchamps. 5 minutes left. There goes Genisus Caracas. I think he's done it. I think he might have done it. He's going to come up. There is George Boothby coming through the left and the right. They might even be at the same point together. But then Boothby has the run. Boothby's got the pace. And it's as you were. Oh man, that's a shame. I feel like we were robbed of a cracking little fight there. And Noah Eder actually goes right through. So the overcut has not worked out this round.
And I did kind of mention at the start of the race that Spa tends to be a circuit that favors the undercut simply because of how much time you can gain in Sector 2 after a pit stop on fresher tires. So there we go. The undercut proving to be the strategy that works best around the circuit tonight once again. So history proving once again to be the greatest teacher in terms of the strategy to choose in this race. But that does not mean this race is over. As we saw there, it's all about how quickly Genisus Caracas can get those tires fired up and start pushing once again. Because trust me when I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it is not over. For the next 38 minutes, we have prime time racing and we are in pole position. We have the best seats in the house for what is sure to be an exciting finish to this race.
Oh my. That is all I can say to that one. Christian Duploy onto the back of Clifford, and the two of them fighting out for 14th and 15th position. The final couple of cars coming into pit lane, they're all going to have to pit this lap because they're not going to have time to go in next lap. Dennis Feetshort into the pits, as well as I would imagine Luke Harrison as well in the number 13. Well, he's halfway around the circuit, so he'll be coming in at the end of this lap here. So wow, what a turn up for the books. I think now we can safely say that George Boothby is going to move off with this race potentially. Noah Eder now a full second behind that car that will resume the lead of the race. Samir Foch in 4th position, Genisus Caracas in 3rd, and Sakari Lehtinen down in what must be 5th position. So that Honda, after starting so well, we thought it was going to be contending for the leads, is just slipping backwards.
Yeah, look, it seems like what is happening here is the Ferraris are very solid and they're having the better exchange of the longer runs in the race against the Honda. But don't count out Sakari Lehtinen just yet, David. As we saw, Sakari Lehtinen can finish strong in the second stint, can turn on those tires and have pace. So I don't think it's over. I think there's still a lot to play for. Well, there's still a lot to drive for these drivers, and just to try and maximize and get the best possible points finishes as we ride on board with Christian Duploy. As we see here, Noel Hatche against Albin Manson. So this battle that has been continuing this whole race, it's going on once again. No love lost between the teammates. They are keeping it fairly clean against each other, trying to not force a move if it's not there. The respect between teammates, that admiration. But at the end of the day, these guys are competitors, they are racers, so they will be looking for the best possible position. And if that means it has to be at the expense of a teammate, well then so be it, because that is racing at the end of the day.
Certainly is, and that is exactly what we are here for. Just over 35 minutes left to go in this race here. It's just a fantastic way to start off the end of this Season 2 here, race number 9. Luke Harrison coming out of pit lane. He is, well, to be fair, he's actually going to, in fact, no, he's just going into pits now. I was going to say, I thought he's going to come out in a very good position there, but he'll be coming out towards the back of the field there. Either way, George Boothby just a couple of seconds away from resuming the lead of the race. And, I was saying he might be safe in being able to break away, but yet again, he's getting caught by those cars behind. No Ada now this time is the car that's chasing him down here, as we're still seeing Christian Duploy chasing onto the back of Clifford in that 999 Lamborghini here. 23 laps in the book at Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. And George Boothby, as I said, resumes the lead of the race, and he is still about to put a lap down on Skylar Loughrink.
Yeah, and what I like about this race, as we're watching everything play out, all the drivers have taken their pit stops. Like I said, we're now in the sprint part of the race, as I like to call it, just that period after the pit stops where everyone is really trying to push and putting on pressure. I don't know about you, David, but I'm sitting here and I can feel the bubbles forming. I can feel this pot simmering, because it seems like there's a lot that's still going to happen. Noah Ada is still getting close to George Boothby. That gap is 6/10 now. Grantas Caracas is a second behind Noah Ada, but we know Grantas Caracas can just kick it up a notch, get that pace in the final part of the race. So I feel this pot has been simmering for a while now, and I can feel that heat just getting hotter and hotter and picking up as we head into the final 30 minutes of this race.
30 minutes indeed, and again, so many questions. That lead gap coming down, but we are starting to see now, outside of that, we were spoiled a little bit earlier on. We had about 4 different 3 to 4 car battles all the way through, and those have seemingly fizzled out. We do still have, some battles going on. Samir Foch, for instance, under pressure from Sakari Lehtinen. We've also got Noel Hatchey under pressure from Albin Manson. Now, Valentin Barry has kind of stalled as well in terms of his progress up through the field, coming into 7th position. He's got Cody Sherritt about 1.5 seconds up the road there, but that Aston Martin, I think, has kind of met its match. And it's always one thing that's impressed me through the last couple of races here with Valentin is his hard-fighting nature, as we see Noah Ada just getting past that lapped car, still chasing down George Boothby, and now that gap down to about 0.4 seconds. And, well, this is now an interesting little turn of events. Does the McLaren have more pace here than the Ferrari in this late stage of the race? Maybe just while we're getting the tyres back up to temperature here. Certainly that McLaren does seem to have the upper hand over these Ferraris here, Tapello.
Yeah, for sure. And I was actually surprised, because I thought this would be one of the circuits where we'd see a lot of the McLarens turn up. It's been evident throughout this whole season so far that the McLarens have had the edge in terms of straight line performance, but the Ferraris have been better in the corners. But the Ferraris are doing extremely well if you isolate the battles between a Ferrari and a McLaren, just in terms of the package and in terms of the strengths of the package. But what we're seeing here is Noah Ada is finding a second wind in that all-black McLaren. The pace is looking strong. I think they've got those tires up to temperature. And you know what? I think what played a role as well is overtaking of the lapped car, which is, I think it is Lovrink's Ferrari. In that, I think the overtake just worked out slightly better. Here we're talking about 10ths of a second, 100ths of a second, slightly better for Noah Ada than it did for George Boothby. And it just allowed Noah Ada to capitalize and get ever so closer to George Boothby to put in this pressure. And I tell you what, if George Boothby's heart rate has not increased, it is definitely increasing now, as they surely have a mirror full of a McLaren that is driven by Noah Ada.
And that's not exactly something you want to have, because Noah Eder, an incredibly fast, incredibly accomplished young driver behind the wheel of that virtual McLaren, and doing a grand job of putting all of the pressure on the superstar, the sim racing superstar that is George Boothby, no stranger to that top step. Meanwhile, the Genisus Risk battle goes on. The Academy car of Albin Manson fighting out with Noel Hatchey. Hatchey coming under pressure, and we were saying about McLaren's having pace here, but it looks like it's the Mercedes that has the pace in this one as they go side by side through Blanchimont, and that McLaren has to go wide, and that will almost certainly be a track limits warning. Let's go, and the Mercedes does move up into that 11th position. So Noel Hatchey relieving himself of that position, but the two leaders make their way through Eau Rouge and Radion, and now it looks like Noah Eder closer than he's ever been before, coming through the Kemmel Straight here onto the back of Boothby. Does the McLaren have the run? I don't think he does. It's going to be onto the brakes, and again, it might be better if you are, pacing yourself and you're holding that car, the lead car, Tapello. I do wonder if Noah Eder is maybe just waiting for the right time, maybe waiting for the right opportunity, or maybe just trying to put pressure on Boothby and trying to get Boothby to make his own mistake here.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where, did you catch that? Did you just catch Noah Eder going slightly well held there? That was impressive car control, because those are the moments I've been there. That's where you scream to yourself, because you feel like you're just a passenger sometimes. But yeah, that opened a bit of a gap now to George Boothby. But I think Noah Eder is driving this race really, really brilliantly, in the sense of they are putting a lot of pressure on George Boothby. Trust me, whatever situation, whatever level of comfort George Boothby is in, one thing they know in the back of their mind is how close Noah Eder is. But what Noah Eder is doing really well with putting the pressure on is that they're putting the pressure without compromising themselves. They're able to maintain a strong pace, and they're actually not losing any time to Grantas Caracas behind. The gap has been consistent at 1.1 seconds for the past 2 or 3 laps now. So that means that while George Boothby is trying to hold their pace and push, Noah Eder is putting pressure without losing anything in terms of overall race pace. So this is simmering up, and this is going to turn out to be a fantastic finish for this race.
Well, let's see how that all unfolds, because Grantas Caracas has pretty much fallen off the back of this now, as has Samir Foch fighting with Sakari Lettinen on the back end of that Ferrari. Has a little look out to the inside, again just pulling himself up, making sure he gets a good exit out of the source, and then down through Eau Rouge and then up Radion. It's all about that Kemmel Straight for me. That's where all of the time is made up, and again, Noah Eder, I think, maybe putting a little bit too much strain through those tyres just now, dropping back about half a second behind your race leader just now. Sakari Lettinen gets it a little bit skew-iff coming up that hill, but here we go up the Kemmel Straight then. Does the Honda have the legs on the Ferrari? That's the question we were asking time and time again. He has an optimistic look there, but in all sense and purpose, he wasn't anywhere near as close as he was last time by. So that is going to be a battle that's brewing up still very, very nicely. Noah Eder now back within 0.2 of a second on the race leader here, and I am absolutely, I don't know about you, Tapello, but absolutely on the edge of my seat with all of the action that we've had going on here. We've had an hour of racing. We've had, a good 45 minutes. You'd be okay with if the drivers just said to themselves, right, let's calm it down. We've had 45 minutes of, really, really intense fighting. Let's just get to the end now. But no, it looks like they're going to be keeping this pace, keeping this momentum, and keeping this aggression all the way to the end of the race here.
I don't know, mate. I don't know whether it's the high temperatures in Gauteng, or it's the pressure of this race, or it's the incident. But I'm sweating. I'm sweating. And here's the funny thing: we've actually had action non-stop in this race for over an hour. There's never been a race a part of this race where we've deviated, and I think that's why I'm sweating. These drivers are trying to get the best of me today, because they've got me focused on so many things I cannot catch a breath. But trust me, if I'm under this level of pressure, what George Boothby is feeling right now, as I'm sure the mirrors are full of a Noah Eder driven, and George Boothby goes deep into the corner. They break too deep, and I think they survived there because Noah Ada could not really outmaneuver them. It kind of happened too quickly, and Noah Ada was more reactive than proactive to it. But I think we're starting to see that bit of pressure. I think that is the first mistake we've seen from George Boothby in a while now, and that will be a confidence booster for Noah Ada, because that means that the pressure is finally working, and now they just need to put more pressure and find that ultimate space, that chink in the armor that they've kind of spotted already, and now it's time to prod on that chink and keep pushing the chink in the armor of George Boothby.
Here we come. The pace on Noah Ada is absolutely sensational now. 25 minutes left to go. Ada right onto the back end of Boothby. Here comes Genisus Caracas slowly catching up in the background as well. Boothby again forced to take a very defensive line, and right there is Caracas onto the back end, and also there is Foch, also there is Lettinen, also there is Cody Sherritt potentially catching up very, very shortly indeed. This is getting very, very intense right now, and Noah Ada taking advantage of George Boothby and the lack of pace seemingly in that Ferrari. We'll have to, if we get a chance to speak to George, find out what has happened with his car as we go side by side. Tommy Rozier and Abe Santima coming through Bruel, and that is going to be Santima up the inside to take 8th position from Tommy Rozier. So quite the recovery drive there from Abe Santima after dropping down a couple of places. Meanwhile, I'm keeping an eye on your leaders as well. Under a tenth of a second between the two of them, and surely it's going to come to a moment at the run through Blanchimont. They're coming into Stavolo now.
Yeah, and I you know, it's often the underrated corners that I love. I really love Stavolo. Brilliant corner, and it's where you set up the speed of your car going into that final sector, which is also important if you want to set up the overtake heading into the final bus stop chicane. So you really have to set it up from really far out. As we see here, Noah Ada on George Boothby looking very, very close. Will we see a move? Looking down the inside, braking a bit early, just trying to set it up. So not close enough, but it's all about keeping that pressure. But ding, 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 guess who's there? Genisus Caracas has made his way onto the back of Noah Ada, and now it is a 3-horse battle once again for the lead. Genisus Caracas having consistent laps actually, and now it is pressure, and it is definitely a lot more difficult for Noah Ada now, because not only are they attacking, but they also have to defend against a fast charging Genisus Caracas. But George Boothby doing really well out in front to hold their position, but that pressure is coming in, and it looks like Noah Ada had a brilliant run through Eau Rouge and Radion, and they are firmly within the slipstream once again. I think they are actually very, very close, much closer as they head into the braking for Lecum. Goes down the outside. Who's braver on the brakes? George Boothby holding those brakes again. Brilliant braking maneuver from George Boothby. Very, very confident on the brakes heading into Lecum, and once again Noah Ada just has to settle in again in the rear, find their rhythm again. But Genisus Caracas will be watching all this play out, and they'll start plotting their move of when they can find the gap and exploit it.
Just over 20 minutes to go here in this 9th round of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship, and we are being treated to an absolute top drawer firecracker of a finish for the podium right now. George Boothby leading Noah Ada and Genisus Caracas, but you almost guarantee that it is not going to end up that way because of all of the pressure being applied here from Noah Ada and conversely from Genisus Caracas. Now what's getting me is the fact that Samir Foch isn't catching up these two as much as you would think he should be, given the last lap times there, 2:18.3 from both of the front two cars, and Genisus Caracas doing a 2:17.7, so 7/10 of a second slower just by the fighting that's here. And Caracas is obviously just deciding to try and wait. Well, I was saying that, but that was looking like a little try and go right the outside at Stavolo. But meanwhile, Noah Ada then, as they come through Blanchimont, has his eyes firmly fixed on George Boothby. I don't think he particularly cares about Genisus Caracas just now. Here comes Noah Ada trying to look at the inside. There's no room at the end, forcing George Boothby into going very, very deep into that corner. But Boothby got an excellent run out of the corner. And if anything, this is going to get very, very tight indeed. Samir Foch now 3 seconds behind. Last lap times then for the drivers, 2:18.2, 2:18.3, 2:18.5. So still about half a second slower than Samir Foch. So he is gaining, and it's only going to take a couple of laps. But surely now Noah Eder has to have a look at this car. He's glued to the back bumper of George Boothby as they come up through All Rouge and Radio, and they're almost side by side as they come up the hill. But it's Genisus Caracas now who's going to have the run on the two of them here. This could be very, very dangerous indeed as they come along the Kennel Straight. Again, Eder moves to that left-hand side. Boothby firmly keeping that car in the middle there. But again, it's a battle of the late breakers coming into Lake Coombe. How many times are they going to get away with it, and how many times is Noah Eder going to get away with it? Because now surely you have to start questioning track limits. Is he abusing those 3 warnings that he gets after that third one? It's the final warning. He gets a stop-go penalty. He gets a drive-through, an automatic drive-through penalty there, and that was a bit of a mistake there as Genisus Caracas forced the nose up the inside there. Noah Eder getting unsettled a little bit, and meanwhile behind, Samir Foch still not able to catch up, probably because of the fight that's going on with him and Sakari Lettinen, but they are slowly starting to edge their way forward here. I have the horrible feeling we're going to have a 5-car fight at the finish here.
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking? Have you ever had that moment where you're not planning for an overtake, but you end up in an overtake just because of how things plan out? You know, you kind of brake a bit too late and all of a sudden you're side by side with the car in front of you. I think that's the kind of overtake we're going to see here. I think it's going to take that kind of roll of a dice where it won't be the perfectly set up move that the likes of Noah Eder is looking for on George Boothby. It's kind of going to be, oh no, I braked late and I kind of found myself alongside the driver in front. But this battle is looking extremely close, and it's all about getting those corners, those braking zones, those exit points as perfect as you can. But while we say that, Sakari Lettinen is putting pressure on Samir Foch, and I did mention earlier on that Sakari Lettinen tends to come alive in the closing stages of the race, so we're seeing that second wind coming from them. But as we go again to the front here between George Boothby, Noah Eder and Genisus Caracas, out of La Source, all 3 drivers getting a pretty good and level exit, so it is going to be who gets the best momentum up Eau Rouge and Radio and who gets that slingshot effect. Let's see here. It looks like all drivers are equal, but Noah Eder is always looking ominous as they come up onto the Kemmel Straight. So once again, the gaps are equal, and George Boothby has done really well to sustain their driving and just alleviate their pressure by just being cool, being quick, being precise, heading out of Radion onto the Kemmel Straight, and they hold their position once again.
Gap now 2.2 seconds between Genisus Caracas and Samir Foch, so that gap is coming down drastically over the last couple of laps here. Again, they did 2:18.8 did the leaders, and it was a full second faster for Samir Foch. So the longer that these 3 trip over each other at the front, we're going to have a 5-car battle at the front of this field. That is almost guaranteed now with what is going on. Maybe even Cody Sherritt and Valentin Barrier bringing themselves into the mix here. I've not seen the likes of this for many months, this type of a finish here, and to be honest, I'm absolutely loving it. I'm so excited at what is going on here, because we are just going to have an absolutely chaotic 15 minutes to round out this race. A little bit further back then, let's give some love to some of the drivers further down. This is the battle for P9 and P10. Tommy Rozier and Dennis Vietschork. Rozier in the number 29 Mercedes, just in front of the 25 McLaren of Vietschork. They're making their way round through Stavelot just now, and pretty much involved in their own little worlds. They're involved in their own little fight just now. They do have a Santiva just up in front, as well as Eder having a look into the chicane. This is now starting to get a little bit impatient. There is Samir Foch and Sakari Lettinen now. That gap has got to be, what, about 1.6 seconds now? Surely that's well under the 2 seconds. Well, it is just 2 seconds now as they come across the line. As there goes Sakari Lettinen. Have a look up into turn 1, into La Source.
That's a brilliant exit.
Absolutely got the snapback there on the source there, got the cutback, and I was away looking at the timing there, saw that he got that absolute belter of a cutback coming out of the source there, and that's it done and dusted, because that's what he wanted to do. And you can see how frustrated that Samir Foch is, and this is go time now. The two of them should be working together to catch up to that lead group.
Yeah, I don't think Samir Forsh saw that coming. I don't think. Well, I think that was a brilliantly executed move, and sometimes there is no defending you can do, but I think they didn't see that coming, as we see Dennis Vicholk here getting ahead of Tomer Rezier, a move that they've been trying to set up for the past couple of laps, and it's finally done, so they should be able to defend fairly well into the second sector. Hopefully no mistakes there. But just going back on that Sakari Lehtinen and Samir Forsh tussle there, I think what was important for Lehtinen was just the understanding that the Ferrari has looked strong, but you can unsettle it by kind of trying to catch Samir Forsh out, and that's what they did heading into La Source, because the kind of status quo has been try and set up your moves from La Source going onwards. Try and be within slipstream range heading out of La Source onto a Rouge, Radion and down the Camel Straight, but catching them out at La Source just makes all that difference. So brilliantly done there by Sakari Lehtinen. But as we focus here, Noah Ada going a bit wide, making a bit of a mistake. I think they just put on a bit too much power and it overwhelmed the rear. But while we say that, George Boothby's holding position really well out in front, and Grantis Caracas is looking ever so ominous in the mirror of Noah Ada. So again, this top three, final 15 minutes, but as we see here, Noah Ada going for the move. Again, they bunched up. They're within half a second of each other. George Boothby manages to survive for another corner, but let's see as they head into La Source. Can Noah Ada do what Sakari Lehtinen did and try and spring a surprise heading into La Source? No, they're going to hold station. They're going to hold their line and try to set it up from La Source outwards, heading down to Rouge and up into Radion and then down the Camel Straight, David.
Tapel, you realise that we've only got 15 minutes left, and what a move from Noah Ada. He tries to stick the move out. I was in the middle of a sentence there. What the hell was that? I've never seen that move in my life. As here comes Grantis Caracas then around the outside. There's a little bit of pushing and shoving as they come along side by side. Could Caracas have taken the opportunity? He has. He moves to the inside into Lecum, and now we've got a proper battle here, because this is going to get very, very tough indeed. Remember, these two are the title contenders right now, fighting for that championship. Noah Ada's still in there as well. It's got to be said, he's only 76 points behind your race leader, but at the moment it's now Grantis Caracas who is just 38 points behind the race leader just now, who is in the second place. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, what I was going to say is this is only 15 minutes left to go, but we're going to age around about 2 years covering this final 15 minutes of the race. And just as I said that, all that kicked off to prove my point exactly. My God almighty, this is getting wild right now. That gap to Sakari Lehtinen still held out at 2 seconds, so they're just not able to capitalise on this at all. But you get the feeling that Caracas was just so fed up of waiting behind Noah Ada, that he has decided enough is enough as they come through then that double right-hander at Stavolo. This is through the curb to Paul Frere. And yeah, this is getting spicy. And look at Sakari Lehtinen now. That gap just 1.5 seconds. This is on. This is going to be at least a 4-car battle for the lead of the race.
Yeah, it's looking very, very ominous now for George Boothby as Grantis Caracas is looking to put pressure. Kind of opens up the line, heads down the inside. Not really setting up a move, but just trying to get a clear run into the braking zone of the chicane at the end there. But Noah Ada will be feeling a bit disappointed that they let that move happen. They made a bit of a mistake, but as we see, I think there's a move here. Oh no, he holds it. I actually thought Grantis Caracas had outbraked himself and he went too deep, but he was able to keep it on track and just hold their position coming back. But I think George Boothby is slightly ahead as they head into Eau Rouge. Down Radion, they side by side, they go off track. And here is Noah Ada maximizing on that fight, trying to find position. They head down the inside. They seem to have the momentum. So everyone is under pressure. Grantis Caracas currently in front. George Boothby in third place as it stands. But Noah Ada is looking ominous. And it was 3 breaths for a bit. Noah Ada right in front, a nose ahead. How will they get the switch around? And Noah Ada is in first position. But Grantis Caracas is not letting that go. As they head George Boothby going down the inside. We have 3 abreast. 3 abreast heading into Bruel, who's brave on the brakes. There's some contact. George Boothby holding that car control, and here is Sakari Lettinen joining, and Samir Forge is not far behind. So now we have a 5-way battle for the lead, ladies and gentlemen. 10 minutes to go, pressure all around, driving insane, and everyone is under pressure. Who will survive? I don't know. I'm sweating once again. My blood pressure's high. I don't know about you, David, but I am having the time of my life currently.
Tapello, save yourself, my friend. Right, I'm sorry, I have to point this out. That is the single greatest attacking move that I have seen this year from George Boothby. Doing that on the exit of Lecum, sliding past Noah Ader and Grantis Caracas like they were just standing still. That was absolutely top tier, inspired stuff. Hopefully we can get a replay of that towards the end of the race. But as it stands then, George Boothby back in the lead of the race after what has been the most topsy-turvy lap that I've ever seen in the course of this season. Grunts Caracas into second place, Noah Ader in third. Then you've got Sakari Lettinen and Samir Fortune there, and it's now a 6-car battle because here comes Cody Sherry. There's a party and everyone's invited. Have you ever seen the likes? Round 9 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship, and we have a 6-car fight for the lead. 6 cars, ladies and gentlemen, separated by 3 seconds, and we have somehow got to survive 10 minutes of this. There is no chance. Me and Tapello are going to be in a puddle on the floor in our respective commentary boxes here. But here we go again, out of the source, on the run down through Eau Rouge and Radion. Now, I think this lap is going to be a little bit calmer for the first part because Caracas, it all started from that move from Caracas. He dived up into the move of he dived into that move at low source. That compromised George Boothby, which then brought Noah Ader into the fight. It was a 3-car battle down through Eau Rouge and Radion, and then it all led into La Source as well. But here we go again, George Boothby under huge pressure from Grantis Caracas. We at least managed to get a cam bit of the Kebble Straight here. Whether it happens down through Bruel, I'm not too sure, but either way, under 10 minutes left to go in this 9th round of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. David Christie and Tapello Merioli on the comms here for this one, and my god, this is you get the feeling, Tapello, that something has not been written yet. The fact that we've got 6 cars now within that lead battle here, something has to give. There's no way that it can remain this close.
Have you ever seen in the final of any tournament where there's a trophy and you know the guy who engraves the name of the winner kind of starts a bit early and they start engraving who's going to win? That guy is sitting with his hands in his pockets for this race because there is no way you can call who's going to finish ahead in this race, because as we've seen, all it takes is one corner. All it takes is just an inch and someone is going to go for that move, as it looks very tight as they head out of the Kerber Paul Frey, and George Boothby is under pressure once again from Grantis Caracas, and I am sure Grantis Caracas will be looking for that move heading into the bus stop. Nose to tail practically at this point as they pull out for a bit onto the brakes. Round the outside, will they be able to hold that line? They've got the inside line here, so Grantis Caracas gets ahead and they are in P1, and now it is George Boothby who has to put the pressure on Grantis Caracas. A brilliant move, well measured, brilliant on the brakes and brilliant control through that chicane, and it is down into La Source, and it's all about getting that power away as quickly as you can. Put down your power as smooth as possible. The run down to Eau Rouge and up into Radion will be crucial. Grantis Caracas gave themselves a bit of breathing room there. How will they handle the momentum up Radion? It is looking tight. No one is comfortable at this point in the race. And like I said, 7 minutes to go. That's about, what, 2-3 laps of the circuit? We're in for a show, ladies and gentlemen. We are in for a show.
We certainly are. 3 wide, almost going into Lecum, and Noah Ader clatters into the side of George Boothby. That's exactly what he didn't want to happen. He regains the position. Noah Ader gives him it back, and that gives a little bit of breathing room for Grantis Caracas as they come down towards Bruel with just 4 laps left to go. That's certainly what I'm working out with 7 minutes left on the clock. We are watching this fight for 4th position, which is literally for 2nd position right now. And look at Caracas, he's starting to stretch away. Ader needs needs to get past if he's going to try and catch on to Caracas. Boothby is slowed down. That's why we've got 6 cars all fighting for the lead here. It all stemmed from the fact that Boothby just wasn't on the same pace as Caracas and Ader. But what is in store right now? We've got, what, about half a second up to the car in front. And could this be a pivotal moment for the championship here, the Season 2 championship? Remember, just 38 points separating your top 2 right now. That would be reversed a little bit by the 6 points that Grantis Caracas would gain over George Boothby, and that would take that gap down to 32 points, but still far too close to call with 3 races left to go in this season. We've come through Courtrai and then it's through into Blanchimont then. That gap now 9 tenths of a second to Grantis Caracas ahead. George Boothby is a sitting duck at the moment, but it's a case of who's going to be brave to try and get past. Sakari Lettinen wants to try and get past, Noah Ader wants to try and get past, Samir Foch wants to try and get past, and so does Cody Sherritt. But at the moment, Grantis Caracas might have pulled the pin at the exact right time. 1 second to the good as they come into the source.
Yeah, it seems like the perfect time to get that overtake and just try by all means to pull away from this enormous gaggle of cars that are currently competing for P2. Grantis Caracas looking very, very strong. But ladies and gentlemen, don't worry, as much as we're having a show, we have not forgotten about you guys on chat. There is a giveaway from Coach David Academy. To be in line for that giveaway, just type in the chat Coach Dave Academy and your name will be entered into the final draw for that 10% off 3-month subscription to the Coach Dave Delta Academy. Hopefully you can use that and try and challenge these guys next season. But so far, so good for Grantis Caracas, still maintaining that 9 tenths of a second lead out in front. George Boothby managing to hold on to P2 for now, but Noah Ader is putting on the pressure, and so is Sakari Lettinen looking a threat there in P4. It is not over by a long shot, ladies and gentlemen. One lap, one corner, one mistake is all it will take to decide the podium for this race. And trust me, as much as Grantis Caracas is running in front, they know very well that they are not safe from this impending danger that is George Boothby, Noah Ader and Sakari Lettinen behind.
Yeah, they're also going to have to keep an eye on the tyres that they're using at the moment. But as you said, viewer giveaway going on at the moment. Just type in Coach Dave in chat and you'll get yourself entered into that prize giveaway. We'll be doing that at the end of the show. Meanwhile, I mean, it's just impossible, as that is Noah Ader going very, very wide there. We cut away, but that's Ader going wide. That's going to allow Sakari Lettinen surely to get through. He got away with that. That was coming through the double right-hander at Stavolo there. So no idea how he did manage to get away, but that gap now 1.3 seconds, and it needs to go now. It needs to go now, or this race is in the hands of Grantis Caracas with 3.5 minutes to go. We've got, what, 2 laps left. Maybe we might squeeze in a third lap here, but I think it is just going to be the 2 laps. It is actually, sorry, going to be the 2 laps that we get here. So penultimate lap, and well, Grantis Caracas now 1.5 seconds to the good here. Noah Ader has to get past George Boothby this lap to make anything happen here. The pace has just been unbelievable right now, and I honestly, I'm absolutely stunned with what happened. Come through Eurasian Radio, though. Here comes Noah Ader firmly onto the tail end of George Boothby. The Ferrari is a sitting duck to that McLaren. We've seen it in the pace all the way through. They're side by side coming on the entry to Lecombe. But Boothby is better on the brakes, but is Noah Ader going to try and outbrake him? He does. Will he have the inside line? Boothby tries to push him out the track there, and I think Boothby's going to have the line there. Again, a little bit of contact there. I wonder if Ader is going to try and do a little dive up the inside, but there goes Sakari Lettinen. It was pointed out in chat that Honda looking very, very dangerous. They're all tripping over each other. That's it. Grantis Caracas off into the sunshine now with that one. They had their opportunity, they couldn't do anything with it, and I'm calling it right now. I think Grantis Caracas has this one in the bag.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as David Christie is making the brave prediction, the poll for our driver of the day is up right now, so make sure to put in your votes. We currently have Grantis Caracas, George Boothby, Noah Ader and Sakari Lettinen up for that position of driver of the day. So please vote and give us your thoughts, because my goodness, who do you give it to? Who do you call as the driver of the day in such a topsy-turvy race? All brilliant driving from these guys. Again, after what, an hour and 29 minutes, we had virtually 6 drivers that were in contention for the win in this race, and it looks like Genisus Risk has pulled away. As much as those drivers tussled amongst themselves fighting for P2, that just gave Genisus Risk the impetus and the breathing room to pull away and stamp their name on that P1 finishing position. But all that said, one more lap to go. It is not over between George Boothby, Noah Ada and Sakari Lehtinen. There is one more lap, 20 more corners to go. Ultimate pressure. Who will be brave enough to force a move, and who will be strategically sound enough and cool enough to defend their position? Last lap, ladies and gentlemen. I'm struggling to call this one. I think it's going to be down to the last corner. It's going to be down to that last chicane for this lap to see who ends up on the podium, because it is tight. There is pressure everywhere, and these drivers are looking to maximize on their finishing position. As we look at Noah Ada, who had a brilliant run out of Eau Rouge, and Radion has already pulled out beside George Boothby, heading into the braking zone. It's an inch away. Who's stronger on the brakes? Noah Ada is ahead, but just outbrakes himself. George Boothby manages to hold that line, and George Boothby defends once again. That was the last time that they will be going through Lekum, and George Boothby is holding on to that position, but it is not easy. They are on fire, and ladies and gentlemen, it is difficult to call. David Christie on comms with Tapelo Miriotle, and trust me, ladies and gentlemen, no one is calling the end of this race anytime soon.
I think what I'm loving as well, Taps, is that I can hear just how much in your element you are. You're absolutely loving every minute of this, and that just, it makes my little heart sing. It really, really does. What also makes my heart sing is how the hell has Valentin Barrier got himself involved with this? He's now right onto the back of Cody Shedder there as well. As you can see, it's Sakari Lehtinen trying to catch up to this group as well. And now it's Noah Ada that's the cork in the bottle. He was ahead for a little bit, but either way, it doesn't matter, because through Stavolo for the final time, it's all about Genisus Risk. He pulled the trigger with 10 minutes left to go, and all hell broke loose here at Spa. What a run, what a performance by the Ferrari. There's been fisticuffs, there's been mayhem, there's been fighting. Absolutely fantastic to see, but it's all about Genisus Risk coming up to that final chicane just now. It all kicks off behind him. But what a win it's been for Genisus Risk, second place in the championship. Comes across the line to win round number 9 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. It's going to be second place for George Boothby, third place for Noah Ada, fourth place for Sakari Lehtinen, Fortune Faith, Cody Shedder in 6th, Valentin Barrier in 7th place. And Tapelo, I mean, that was one of, I think, easily in season 2, if not the entire both seasons, that is the greatest 15 minutes of racing I think we've had.
Told you guys I love the circuit. Told you guys. I told you we had the potential for a brilliant race today, and that is exactly what we had. So brilliant. Just how these drivers can manage to drive with that level of pressure for 90 minutes. Because trust me, ladies and gentlemen, as much as everything came to a boil in that final 15 minutes, the setup for that final 15 minutes was the entire length of that race, and everyone had to be pinpoint on strategy, on race pace, and ultimately on elbows out defending and attacking. And what a performance from Genisus Risk to walk away from that race a winner.
Oh man, absolutely stunned. So that now means that the gap to your championship leader is reduced to 32 points. I don't think George Boothby will feel too hard done about that one. given the performance that he had to put in just to stay in that second place. We'll get drivers in for a chat as soon as we possibly can. We'll also have the driver participation giveaway coming up shortly, and also your chance to win as well at home, ladies and gentlemen. Type in Coach Dave in the YouTube chat and you can enter yourself into the giveaway that we'll do at the end to win a discount code for a Coach Dave Delta subscription. And yeah, we're very, very much looking forward to doing that. But yeah, look, Tapella, I mean, obviously so much to pick apart from that. It's not like it was that final 15 minutes is all we had to talk about. The first 15 minutes as well was fairly chaotic. We had 4 separate battles, 4 separate little groups of cars there. 3-4 cars within a second to 2 seconds within each other, and then it spread out during the pit stops, and then it all came together again at the end.
Yeah, look, most definitely, and it doesn't matter where you were looking at what point in that race. Everyone was competitive. There was competition everywhere, and seems like finally we are ready for the driver interviews so far. So let's see who we can have a chat with right about now. So the race winner, Genisus Risk, sir, fantastically done. Tell us how you feel about that finish.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, it feels absolutely amazing, to be fair. What a race that was. Yeah, it was one of the best races, one of the better races I've done in a while. So yeah, really enjoyed that one, and like I was like pushing so hard and trying to overtake George so many times. He was defending really well, so fair play to him, but somehow in the end just managed to sneak in and got a bit lucky that the guys behind, they were fighting. So I know I had the pace to just just drive chill, don't make any mistakes, and I'll just win. So yeah, I'm really happy with this performance and one of the best races for sure.
Yeah, look, I'll definitely agree with you. No biases here, but that was one of the best performances I've seen you put together with that car. And just to top it all off, we just got confirmation that you were also voted driver of the day for your brilliant performance. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel amazing. Thanks, guys. Yeah, it was really good. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and can you just tell us, with that battle, defending, attacking, how does it feel as a driver? What's going through your mind in those moments?
Well, yeah, obviously you're very heated up and and focus as much as possible in these battles. It's like if you do a small mistake, you're just gonna lose like 3 positions. If the cars behind you are very close to you. So yeah, you just gotta focus a lot, and it's that emotion that's going through, the battling. Like it feels so good to battle these like strong guys and have the same pace and for the victory. So yeah, emotions are absolutely amazing. I mean, to win the race in battles like this, it's way better to win like this than just drive alone and run away from everyone like I did last week. So yeah, this one feels so much better because of all these battles. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and hopefully many more to come like this, many more races.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, sir. I enjoyed it. David Christie enjoyed it. And I'm sure everyone who was watching this race did. Congratulations. Brilliant performance. Hope to see you again next week, putting in a strong performance like this.
Yeah, thank you, guys. See you next week.
Right. Awesome. David Christie, how would you like to take the next interview, sir?
Yeah, let's get George Boothby in the booth then and have a little chat. George, welcome in. What the hell happened tonight? Because that was just nuts.
Yeah, that was a good race, wasn't it?
Talk us through your point of view, because obviously we're used to you just streaking off into the sunshine. The past couple of races, you've not really been able to do that, and you've been really held to account tonight. It seemed like those last 15 minutes you were struggling a bit.
Oh yeah, like I was absolutely I was just beating a dead horse for the last 20 minutes. It was tough. Yeah, because tonight the weather is so hot. Like it's 32 degrees in game, which is like that is brutal temps. Like there's no way to really control the tire temperatures. They're gonna be hot. And one of the ways to bring them down a bit is to be behind someone, especially at a track like this, because you get in a slipstream and you can just sort of chill and relax a bit because the slipstream is going to keep you close. So if you manage to get in someone's slipstream, you can like sort of stay there. And because these temperatures are so crazy, it's like, because I was the lead car for most of that race, like my tires are just melting and melting and melting. So as the stint went on, it was just I was becoming more and more of the bottleneck. So the second stint, like I managed to have a second gap behind with Eda behind me. And I was like, oh my god, this could be it. You know, he's not in the slipstream. I can get away. As long as I do my laps, I can get away. And then unfortunately, I met a backmarker at like the worst possible place, and it just meant Eda got in the slipstream, and that was it. I knew like this is going to be a fight to the end, and it was. Like, there's no doubt about it. That was like one of those ridiculous fights I think I've ever had on this game. So I had to use like every sort of tactic I could to defend, because the Maka was so quick coming out of Eau Rouge. But there was a few door bangs here and there, but I don't think there was anything too serious. So it was just hard racing, fun racing, and I loved that race. It was amazing.
And obviously, you just mentioned it there about the door banging. That was one thing I was away to bring up next. Is it nice for you to be able to be in a position where you can race against these drivers and know that none of them are going to deliberately try and take you out? Does that add to the fun and enjoyment for you?
Yeah, because like obviously some people, you know, you're gonna make mistakes. Like there was a few sends that were a bit silly here and there. I think Eda got a warning at some point, but it's nothing like race ending, right? So you can always take a bit of liberties with the drivers around you when you've got confidence in them. So I made a really big mess up at one point because like through Eau Rouge, if the Maka was really close behind me going into Eau Rouge, I knew it was... Oh, sorry, if it was him 2 temps, I knew it was over, because he'd just get a slipstream, a massive slingshot. So, like, I was playing the game, like... I don't know if you've seen the F1 drivers do it, where you, like, lift slightly going into Eau Rouge, so they can't get that slingshot. And on one lap, I messed it up completely. I lifted too much, then Eda got alongside me, and that could have just ended in everyone dead, you know? Like, it was a massive mistake on my half, but, you know, he's a good driver, and he was able to... Probably a bit annoyed by me, but he was able to deal with the situation. So, yeah, it was a great race.
Either way, George, we had an absolute blast calling that up here in the booth. So thank you very much for that. Congratulations on second place. It does bring the gap down to 32 points between yourself and Grant as spot. Another 3 rounds. So bring it on. Enjoy the night.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you so much.
There we go then. George Boothby, second place. And Tapello, why don't you round things off with having a chat with Noah Eder?
Yeah, well, for sure. And another inspired performance from Noah Eder. So close to that win, but yet so far. Noah, how does it feel to be on the podium once again?
Oh, unfortunately, I think Noah's accidentally on mute. There we go.
Yeah. Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, it feels great, of course. I mean, I could win the race, so yeah, on one eye I'm crying, on one eye I'm really happy. But yeah, it's just not... I don't like it to see how Boosby drove, because he did like some dirty moves. So, but it's funny, he calls me a dirty driver and is doing things like I never did. But okay, it is what it is.
Well, I can tell you from a viewer's perspective, that racing was close and everything looked fantastic. Yes, there might have been a few over the border moves, but tell me, Noah, how does it feel as you're driving in that kind of situation? So many cars fighting for the lead. How do you feel as a driver in that final moment?
Yeah, it was really nice. It was a lot of fun. Of course, much adrenaline was going on, and yeah, it was really nice. The viewers enjoyed it. I personally enjoyed it as well, so yeah.
Yeah, look, I'll tell you one thing, we enjoyed it as well up here in commentary. Look, Brands Hatch is next. Are you feeling any confident for that race?
I didn't feel confident for today at all, because yeah, I had no practice, so I'm also not feeling really confident for Brands Hatch, but we will see. Maybe it's again a surprise.
Yeah, no, if this is you with no confidence, I'd hate to see you feeling very confident. But I'll tell you now, fantastic driving, sir. Congratulations on the podium once again. Hope to see you putting in a strong performance for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, thank you very much. Bye.
Yes, and
Well,
have
there
a
we
good
go.
one.
Noah Eder there, Tapello, and I'll be honest, I'm liking a little bit of spice there, a little bit of shenanigans going on there. I'm standing here with my wooden spoon and just stirring the pot. Right, we've got a couple of things to catch up on. We've got the driver participation giveaway to sort up. So let's get that sorted out. We've got what looks like about 12 drivers in that. No, that's a lot more than 12 drivers. That's about 16 drivers. Right, let's spin the wheel and see who we get that gets the Coach Dave Delta subscription. And it is that Christian Deploy? It is Christian Deploy, who was at the back of the grid and I believe got around about 16th position. Fantastic result, and Christian Deploy wins that Coach Dave Delta subscription. So there we go. Let's do another one then. Let's spin the wheel and see who else gets one. And no way. Oh, it's Jan Rochelle. I thought Christian Deploy was going to get a second one, but Jan Rochelle gets the second Coach Dave Delta subscription. So there we go. That is our ones today. And that is us for tonight. Tapelo, how did you enjoy the racing tonight?
Well, like you said, this was one of the best races I think we've had this season for sure, and might have possibly be the best race we've had in the series so far. Commentating on that was quite an experience. I tell you, trying to call everything as it happens, give an opinion, but try to relay what is happening. There's so many things to consider. You're looking at the timing, you're looking at the driving, you're looking at the position. It's everything that you want as a commentator. Those are the kind of races that we do for. That's why this series is so amazing. What Genisus has put together with this Kaizen Championship is amazing, and what the drivers are serving up is even better. So 3 rounds to go. I hope we get all this for the next 3 weeks.
Excellent stuff. Well, a huge congratulations as well to Mike Enriquez, who gets our viewer participation voucher for Coach Dave. We'll be in touch to sort that out with you. But here is the calendar that is still to come. Round 10 at Brands Hatch is going to be next week. We're off to Spain, to Valencia the week after that, and then the season finale is at Silverstone at the end of the month. But that tonight is all we have time for, ladies and gentlemen. A huge thank you to Genisus Risk for helping us put this on, to Coach Dave Delta, and to you at home as well for watching, and to my good buddy Tapelo Merioli joining myself, David Christie, here in the commentary box, and as always to Daniel Costello behind the scenes making these beautiful pictures and sound come tonight here on YouTube. But we will see you same time, same place next week for 60 minutes here in the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship Round 10.